the starting maps, which were Busan and Ilios. This week, of course, we are going into Lijiang Town. It looks like we're going to be starting off on Nightmark.
So what you're saying, if HEIST is to essentially win this series, it's looking to start off again 2-0 for them. They're looking to get off to a fast start.
Absolutely, yeah. I think this control map, yeah, they need this one. This very first map if they're going to take the series.
Well, fast start out of the gates here at Lijiang Tower. It is going to be goats from both HEIST and Melbourne Mavericks. Shocker, surprise, I know. As 4 balls onto the Zenyatta, going to launch out from the backline.
Yeah, both teams just going at it here. No one getting down just yet, but Melbourne Mavericks taking a little bit too much damage. Mini on the front line. The Ryan seems to be usually the first one to go down in these competitions. Ooh, Jewboy just falling back before he has the chance. Yeah,
great start for HEIST, picking up the first 2 kills of this fight. Bus did get low, but it was the fact that Mini went down first. It's really who can take down the Reinhardt first to take these fights, and HEIST are going to be able to capture the checkpoint to start things off here in this series.
Yeah, Forwell takes a trip down as well, but as you said, the Reinhardt going down is just, it's exactly what you want to do first up in this GOATS competition, and usually that's what happens. You know, you're seeing the Discord Orb going straight on them. You're seeing, you know, the Brigida stuns come out to burst them down if you possibly can. We're seeing a very early rally here from Jewboy, which is going to make this next fight for Melbourne Mavericks a nightmare.
This is not a good start for the Melbourne Mavericks at all. 20% already for HEIST. As you mentioned, the rally's been popped by Jewboy. The Mavericks are going to make their way down. They don't have any ultimates just yet, but they are getting close to a Transcendence and possibly even the Graviton Surge here. 80% for Nox is going to be stunned though in the backline, down to 100 health already. Some pretty rapid damage from HEIST onto Desire. Oily low as well, as Mini's just trying to get a good placement with the shield. Locust though takes down Mini, as now the self-destruct may be popped by Oily to get back into a mech. No, not going to be popped at all. Graviton Surge available for Nox, but the fight is being won by HEIST. They're going to control and contain this checkpoint.
Man, I think Jungle Jazz has one of the best beat timings out of anybody in the Australian League. You see time and time again when there's, you know, ultimates coming out at them, he's there to support them. You saw that time. They just pulled back, they disengaged, let Melbourne Mavs use all of their abilities up, and then just as the tank's about to go down, that's when he beats. They go in. They're super aggressive. That's exactly how you want to get value out of that ultimate.
Melbourne Mavericks are going to have to be aggressive in this fight, already up to 68%. They do have 5 ultimates available, so the Graviton Surge is going to be coming out from Nox along with that self-destruct combination. But the self-destruct was on the other side of the wall, so it's not going to pick up any members of HEIST. So far, Mavericks just used 4 ultimates. No members of HEIST have been eliminated just yet at all. Rally's going to be blocked by Jewboy. Onto the point now, the Melbourne Mavericks continue to push, but if they lose this fight, Genome, it's already up to 85%. HEIST looking well placed at the moment to continue holding this, with Bus having his Earthshatter available.
Yeah, you can see HEIST are just so amazing at holding those choke points. A double boom from Jungle Jazz. Amazing plays from the man here, as then he comes off, of course, off the back of that ult charge. He's able to put the beat down, and now we see HEIST re-aggressing into the fight, pushing Mavs back out of that choke, and we're up to 99% here, and it doesn't look like Mavs are even going to get on the point.
Oily's going to pop the self-destruct, though, only picks up Jungle Jazz. It's ironic, it's always the self-destruct that picks up the Lucio. Flura's going to go down to Locust, though. HEIST continuing to just deal with the last second stragglers of the Melbourne Mavericks, looking to just basically dive onto the point and delay it for as long as possible, but they can't any longer. 1-0 to HEIST.
Oh, that's a fantastic start from HEIST here. Their control of the choke points was superb. You saw the only time they went back through the choke point, they had the ultimates ready to do it. It was almost like they were just baiting the Mavs into using those extra ones.
Yeah.
And then they just come back with their own at a better time. That was just such a fantastic way to play that map. And once they got control of that point, they did not give it up.
The one thing that really stood out for me there was when Melbourne Mavericks came in, they had their 4 or 5 ultimates up. They threw out the Graviton Surge onto the wall. Then on the back side of the wall was the self-destruct, but everyone was caught on the front side, so the self-destruct couldn't do any damage. Regardless, we move on, and it is HEIST currently up 1-0. Almost expected in a way. As you mentioned at the beginning, they are the predominantly dominant control team.
Yeah, I mean, look, I definitely wouldn't put it out of Mavs' reach even now, but HEIST are looking at keeping that streak continued.
To the point we go. Of course, 15 seconds until the point will be unblocking. It was HEIST who picked up the initial kill in the first fight earlier in the first map here on Lijiang Tower. Mini was the one who went down, and it's going to happen once again. Bus picks up the kill. Perfect timing as well, because the control point's about to unlock. Melbourne Mavericks, though, aren't going to be hanging around. You know, they know that they've lost the fight already just off 1 death.
You can see that they're just leaving 1 person on the point to cap, while the other 5 move forward here and secure the space. So even though If they had have all stayed on the point there, Mavs actually might have had a chance to get through the choke point, but we've already seen how exceptional HEIST have been at holding these positions. Look at that. As soon as Mini comes through, down to about 50 health.
Yeah, pretty standard aggressive hold at the moment from HEIST. They will get Winter and Nox as well. Mini follows. Transcendence available for Dalsu already. Obviously not required. Forballs, is he going to be able to make it in? This will be a big delay onto Forballs for the Melbourne Mavericks. 21% for HEIST now. This aggressive hold playing off perfectly.
Yeah, Dalsu is quite an aggressive Zenyatta. He likes getting his name on that scoreboard on the kill feed. And we see him there popping out pretty far just to get a little bit of a stagger on the Zen. I mean, he does push through. They don't contest too much going forward into the choke this time, maybe because they don't have the Graviton Surge or the Shatter built up, but now they do, and they've given themselves time to get those ults out.
So far, Bust has been winning the Reinhardt battle over Mini, you'd have to say. Mini's quite low, but it is going to be the Sound Barrier from Fluoro to help out for the Melbourne Mavericks here. Nox throws out the Graviton Surge. Oh, big Shatter though! Bust even inside of the Graviton Surge. The Oiley's mech was popped at least, but the Transcendence comes out from Forballs. Perfect timing as well to help heal up all of the Melbourne Mavericks. Considering that initial Earth Shatter from Bust. No more ultimates available for HEIST, though the rally was just popped by Dubois. Forballs down the charge from Bust, picking up the kill. Mini's going to fall as well pretty quickly to Gusto. Point still in the favor of HEIST as well throughout all of this. Genome up to 70%, and Melbourne lose another fight.
Man, the Mavs just cannot get any, almost any members of HEIST down there. They're unkillable. They're immortal at the moment. The way they were rotating around that point, you see all those healing abilities being used. As soon as someone goes low, they can get behind the pillar and make the most of that. And at 80%, Melbourne Mavs are in danger of losing this without even getting a tick on the point.
Yeah, and either of them really here on Lijiang Tower. They haven't got any percentage at all. Bust
goes
that's
down. A good opening.
That is the opening that the Melbourne Mavericks require. Still have the self-destruct from Oiley. Is he going to throw it out onto the point just yet? No, going to hold it for now. Possibly waiting for the Graviton Surge of Nox, but he's about to lose all of his health. D-Mech now he's forced to pop the self-destruct. Gusto threw his out as well, and Minter and Mini have now just fallen already for the Melbourne Mavericks. It's 4 versus 6 onto the point in favor of HEIST. Bust has just come back, throws out the Earth Shatter, but it's not going to connect Oiley. Regardless, no one's onto the point. HEIST with a quick 2-0.
Wow, and that last self-destruct from Gutso was so fantastic in splitting the team there. You saw they were trying to hide behind the, one of the partitions on the point. They couldn't go front, they couldn't go behind it. It was just one of those, that's exactly what you want in a self-destructor, right on a point where it's got multiple angles of vision and you just can't get away from it.
2-0, 100% and 100%. That was quick from HEIST. You did say that of course, they were sort of, control is their bread and butter here. It's what's been good for them. I don't think they've actually lost a single control series just yet throughout the season thus far.
No, they haven't.
This is the start that they needed if they're going to take out this series against Mavericks.
It absolutely is, and the other thing to note is, we're expecting Mavs to be a little bit stronger going into Assault and, Hybrid Escort, but if it does come down to that 5th map again, it's another control. It's 2 out of 5. The others are only 1 out of 5, and if they can bring that same style of game there, I mean, map 5, of course, would be Nepal, and it's you can play the same kind of comps for most of those rounds, right?
The interesting thing as well is HEIST has definitely got experience on Nepal as well, because they've gone to 5 every single series so far here in Season 3 of Contenders Australia. So even if it does go to Nepal, they would be well and truly ready for it.
Yeah, Mavs haven't been there. They've had a 3-0 and a 4-0 so far.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, it is good for them. But, if that ends up deciding the last game, well, who knows?
Yeah.
But that's only 1 map down at the moment. This does mean, of course, Maps get the next map choice.
Yeah.
And that's a big advantage going in their favor.
I think Mavs possibly bounce back here, though, Genome. Obviously, for HEIST, they've had a lot of success going up sort of 2-0 into halftime, and then they kind of lose the next couple, but then bounce back on the ball. That's been their bread and butter so far. For the Mavs, though, if they do take this map, they'll probably be feeling quite comfortable and confident going into halftime, I'd have to say.
Yeah, I'm sure they would be thrilled with that result. But now we're going to be, it's either going to be Numbani or Hollywood coming up next, right? Maybe we'll see a Numbani just because that gives the Mavs some different options. You don't necessarily have to play GOATs, especially during the first point going into the end of it. Yeah, sure. But even that little bit of an advantage there, holding close spawns like that on the second point, perhaps that's something they can do. They're going to go for Hollywood.
Oh, Hollywood.
Mavs haven't had to make a hybrid choice before this season, so it's interesting to see them go for Hollywood here. Let's see what happens.
I mean, I guess obviously with this, it comes down to the fact that that's the good part about the loss is you can choose between Hollywood or you can choose between Numbani, and Mavs probably feeling like they've got something up their sleeve going into Hollywood. Hopefully it's an ace, because they're going to need one. Down 1-0 so far in the series already. That was quick on control. Let's see whether or not this will go a little bit longer.
It was so quick. Like there wasn't any there wasn't any overtimes. There wasn't any like stalling of like capping the points one way or the other. It was just like the point's ours and it's gonna stay ours.
This kind of feels like we're going into the first game of the day, and the HEIST, they're just starting with a handicap. Oh well, it is going to be the Melbourne Mavericks attacking here first on Hollywood. They chose the map. Let's see if they got what it takes.
Yeah, I mean the VIP in this place. I wouldn't be surprised if he was stealing a handicap space. He's not the nicest guy. If you've heard him talk to your team when you're trying to escort him. Well, it's Mavs on the attack here first. They, of course, you know, we've just got the standard comps across the board.
Interesting, though, Winston on defense for the Goats of HEIST.
Yep.
Vinny, though, on the Reinhardt for attack. So now they're going to start to make their way into the Melbourne Mavericks. Vinny actually got quite low along with Oily. Pretty quick heals up, obviously, with the triple heals as the Goats competition. So Bust defensively on the Winston, possibly for looking to make HEIST engage early onto the Melbourne Mavericks.
Yeah, it does allow you to, you know, get up there, get the top, get a bit of chip damage in as they're going in, but it's very tough once you get on the point. See him having to hide behind here, waiting for the heals to come in as Winter manages to get a whip shot onto the mech. Both mechs down at the moment. Mini now getting quite close up, and Bust goes down. That's probably going to be the opening.
And Nox does have the Gravity Surge if there had been any sort of reinforcement from HEIST, but Melbourne Mavericks will take it out. Clean sweep to kill. Locust not able to get away. There it comes. And a little delay there, but I don't think that's going to make too much of an impact. Melbourne Mavericks will take up the first point here on Hollywood.
Yeah, you can see Nox fully charged there. Locust was trying to get away with his, but Mavs correctly identify the highly charged Xayah and make sure she's not going to be an element in the next fight. Both grabs are ready. We do see more ults on the sides of Mavs, of course, after winning that fight, but it's going to be a nice close hold here again from HEIST. They're still sticking on that Reinhardt.
Oh, Mavericks do have the ult economy, though, to sort of take this fight into their favor. HEIST are obviously going to want to take this early, though. They've got a couple of ults themselves. Dalsu's going to pop the Transcenders right on top of the payload as Winter goes down. Nice use of the Primal Range from Bust, being aggressive. HEIST taking it to Melbourne Mavericks. The Mavericks, though, did use a couple of their ultimates here and have folded back. Obviously, the good news, their respawn's not that far away. Yeah,
the Primal Rage coming out there from Bust. He gets pretty far in front of his team, just trying to, you know, whack them back. Perhaps he could have hit a couple into his own team to secure some kills and some staggers, but that unfortunately doesn't happen. Juboy now with the rally, and they are going to contest once again.
And Winter as well as the Gravity Surge is going to come out from both teams and both self-destruct. It is Goats after all, mirror composition. What do you expect? Juboy goes down along with Nox, so it's 1-for-1 trade, but Bust went down 2. So HEIST don't quite have the advantage here, and of course they've got the longer respawn time. 4 minutes on the clock at the moment as Gusto is going to lose the mech. Pop, Fluoro is the one for causing that. Oily took out Locust, and now the Melbourne Mavericks can continue to move this payload through the streets phase of Hollywood.
Yep, so they struggle a little bit on the first fight, but now they are picking up some steam. Going on to the second part of Hollywood, you know, the dive tanks do give you a little bit of opportunity to stay up the top of these. You know, the saloon, position a little bit better, choose when to engage when you're diving in. You don't have to take as much chip damage just walking in as a Ryan and losing your shield. But you see them coming around from behind here. Jungle Jazz going very low, but they're not going to find him.
Dalsu does have the Transcendence here. No ultimates up for the Melbourne Mavericks to start this fight off. So HEIST do technically have the advantage. 5 more seconds onto this Transcendence from Dalsu. That's been popped now. Oily getting close to his self-destruct, just hanging off around the side at the moment. Picks up the kill onto Locust with the help of Baubles as well. So Melbourne Mavericks started off into their favor, and they'll continue to snowball that. Again, HEIST, they started off with the Transcendence Geno, but they cannot find a way to get picks against the Melbourne Mavericks right now.
No, they really can't do anything. And you see, like, Mavs didn't even have to use many ults during that fight.
They didn't use any.
I'm not sure if anyone just built them up again because they were crushing them so hard. But this means when HEIST come in again, they've almost got no chance, right? They're going to walk straight into a Graviton Surge or a Shadow or a Self-Destructor or all of them.
Yeah, there's going to be the Graviton Surge to keep them off the point. There is a couple of members around near the payload, but it was just always going to happen, right? And that point being captured. 4 minutes on the time for the Melbourne Mavericks now as they head towards the final curtain.
Good. I was about to say we really need to see the swap over from Bust here onto the Reinhardt. Don't care about that Primal Rage. You need to get the Reinhardt. It just create such a great blocker through this small corridor. You no longer have the opportunity to use the Winston to buy that space. So Bus switching onto the Reinhardt, definitely a better Winston player, so let's see how he goes here. He did great on Lijiang.
Kind of feel like the HEIST need to force this fight really early. Make the Melbourne Mavericks use their ultimates here. There's the Earth Shatter coming out, and that's exactly what is happening. Jungle Jazz, though, does pop the sound barrier to try and prolong the fight for HEIST. They've already lost 2, though, at a disadvantage right now, even with the short respawn time. Gusto finally going to go down.
Can
Lucas holding on. No. Do not waste this Graviton Surge, and he doesn't. He goes down along with Jungle Jazz.
Yeah, good hold out there. The nice stall from the Lucio and the Zaya, just hoping that they can get back and use that combo, right? They've got this, the grab, they've got the self-destruct, and Juboy can push them in quickly with the rally. Nox
is going to have a Graviton Surge, though. Self-destruct for Oily as well.
Oily does
Not looking good for HEIST here, even with, they can't even get onto the point regardless because of that Graviton Surge. And Melbourne Mavericks talk about a bounce back from their defeat on Lijiang Tower. They started off nicely here on Hollywood.
Yeah, HEIST are going to be a bit annoyed about that third point as well. The fact that they weren't able to get those last couple of ultimates out, they weren't able to find the situation to use those. You know, you go to the bank with ultimates, you don't get them back. There's no refunds there.
Do you think that Bus switched too late?
No, I think going on the third point is fine. I think you can switch on the second point as well if you feel like, you know, that's where your team comp excels, but it's more like a necessity on the third point. It's an option on the second.
Well, I mean, I kind of feel like HEIST had to force that fight early. They couldn't stall it out long enough that they could have enough members back by the time it got towards the checkpoint. Unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. The damage had already been done, basically.
I mean, if Locus had a pop the grab at that point, he probably wouldn't have got any kills. There was a fleeting moment there where Mini was very low. Perhaps if they had have just pulled the trigger, had, you know, made that quick decision, it could have changed things a little bit and allowed them to stall in, but no, it doesn't happen. So that's a very strong time bank on the side of Melbourne Mavs. As we said, we are expecting them to be a little bit longer, as a little bit more powerful in these payload-based modes. Maybe they played more racing games when they were growing up. I don't know. They know how to maneuver a car around this joint.
Well, 2 minutes and 55 seconds for the Melbourne Mavericks is their time bank here. It's now up to HEIST on their attack to show what they're made of here, and to show what they're made of outside of Control in general. Are they just a Control team at the end of the day, Gino, or are they just a contender?
Well, to be fair, you have to win one other mode if you want to take out this series. I mean, we talked about winning 2 Control maps. It's pretty good. It gets you most of the way there, but you've still got to take out another one.
So, they come forward. Bust going to be onto the Winston. Now, this is interesting again. So, Bust onto the Winston as the Melbourne Mavericks are just going to push right up here, tank the fight to HEIST, well away from the point that's working out. They do pick up the first 2 executions, Bust falls as well. The reason why I was touching on that, Jim, is because Mini still stays on the Reinhardt. Bust played Winston on defense.
Yeah, so you're seeing a little bit of Winston a bit here. You're seeing the preferences come out here, right? Maybe not only just for the main tank players, but of the styles that these teams prefer to go for. You know, having the Shatter, of course, is very impactful, but being able to determine and take the engagements on your whim is also an ability that the Winston really gives to you. So you see they're struggling to push in here, though. They don't have the Matrix. They don't have the bubbles enough to keep Bust up, and they're going straight back to spawn. This is a horrible start for HEIST.
And that is sort of what can happen as well with Winston. If you're not pushing in, if you're not diving in and going quickly, and you're standing around on the outside, you can take a lot of poke damage pretty quickly, and you sort of just Bust get melted, especially.
Look, I know there's a lot of good movies out at the moment, ZeNox, but you can't be sticking around the cinemas that long, HEIST. You need to get out there.
You got to pick a movie and get in.
Yeah, you know, watch it, get out. It's like one of those guys who sticks around in the cinema after their movie's over, just like slyly goes into the other, gets a 2-for-1 ticket.
Well, time to make their way in. Winter's going to pop the rally for the Melbourne Mavericks. Again, still holding an aggressive hold, making it difficult for HEIST to push in, and making it difficult really for HEIST to just sort of engage on their own terms here. Not sure why Bust popped the Primal Rage, though, in this scenario. They've already lost 2 of their support players. I mean, Bust just got quite angry himself and wants to get all rage mode.
Feeling a little bit in tune with Winston there. There you go. Okay, so it makes sense. He wants to make the switch. May as well see if he can get something done with the Primal first. But, oh man, with all this spawn camping that the Mavs have been doing, they've been able to bank 5 ults so far. And with 1 minute and 40 seconds left, a single Shatter. Actually, no, they used the grab as well.
Yeah, so grab and Shatter combination down for the Melbourne Mavericks. I could hear the hesitation in your voice there because so they didn't need both.
They popped them at the same time, so it was kind of like, if you had have done one and the other, you would probably been like, oh no, we're fine. But hey, they went for... They wanted to be sure, and that's fair enough. Getting a full hold here would be, that's one way to turn around the momentum on a series like this, and they've still got so many more. It doesn't matter what HEIST pulls out. As long as Fluoro and Forbles are playing safe here, you will get a Sound Barrier and or a Transcendence.
It will be 3 ults versus 3 ults, though, coming into this next fight. Locust has the Graviton Surge available. Oily, though, with the aggressive self-destructive required or needed, and it is going to be thrown out. There's the Transcendence from Dalsu, but it also was with the Sound Barrier of Jungle Jazz. A bit of double dipping there between the two supports of HEIST. Juboy also popping up the rally. No other ultimates now available for HEIST. Those Melbourne Mavericks are about to get rally here, and HEIST basically gained nothing from their ultimates, now just pushing back towards the point.
Yeah, Juboy and Locust making sure that self-destruct comes to no harm with the shield and the projected barriers ready to go. They've finally made their way onto the point, buying a little bit of space. Bust has kept his shield up. He's getting close to the Shatter, and now with Mini down, when that Shatter goes off...
Bust using the Earth Shatter will get Winter, though. Takes him down. Bust very low. Gusto close to the self-destruct. Now just has to get Nox off of the point. This is the closest HEIST have been to capturing this first point onto Hollywood. 20 seconds away from that overtime bar ticking up, but regardless, they finally will push through the Melbourne Mavericks, just having to deal with the pesky Lucio of always. It's Fluoro who does go down on HEIST, but with a couple of ultimates still in the bank, are going to capture the first checkpoint on Hollywood.
So the Reinhardt does finally help HEIST through there. You saw they were just struggling to get through that initial choke. You know, perhaps Mavs, they saw the discrepancy between the compositions and read that if they got up nice and close, they could really hurt HEIST for not having that initial shield. So the swap comes out and they do manage to finally get through there, but they don't have a lot of time.
Now, for the Melbourne Mavericks, they do have the Graviton Surge, Transcendence, they've got the Sound Barrier, but it's going to be the pretty standard GOATS combination. Graviton Surge, self-destruct from HEIST. Not going to achieve anything, though. Now forces out the Transcendence from Dalsu because of Nox's Graviton Surge. Huge Earth Shatter, though, from Mini with the Sound Barrier. Fluoro. Melbourne Mavericks committing just about their entire ult economy to this fight. It's going to be effective, though, sending HEIST back to spawn, which is great because now they've only got 1 minute 45 seconds to go through the entirety of the Streets phase.
Yeah, that said, you know, HEIST used a lot of ultimates at the start of that fight, and they didn't get much for them. I mean, I've been a big fan of Dalsu's Transcendences. I feel like he times them very well, and, you know, no one died during that one, of course. Got it out before anyone had been picked, but unfortunately, it doesn't last long enough, and Mavs come off the back.
So time for them to fight, though. They're going to take this. They've got Buster's Earth Shatter available, and I think Melbourne Mavericks are going to respect that. They do fall back slightly. Juboy had popped the rally as well, so Dalsu is now free to just throw out some orbs from the back line. Moving back in, though, for the Melbourne Mavericks will force out Jungle Jazz's Sound Barrier. And there's going to be the Earth Shatter from Buster to clean sweep. He only really missed Forbles because of the Transcendence that he'd popped, which meant that he basically got to heal everyone up for the Melbourne Mavericks as well. It worked out perfectly for the Melbourne Mavericks, countering that Earth Shatter.
I mean, he didn't even have to heal everybody because he was body blocking the Rhine from getting past the payload there. A big self-destruct on top of the Mavs, unfortunately, is going to do the trick. So there's a lot of ultimates that have to come out in the end. HEIST have given themselves almost no tools to work with in this next fight, which could be the last one of the second point, but then again, neither do Mavs.
Did force out, of course, the Transcendence from Forbles and the self-destruct from Oily, so it's not as if the Melbourne Mavericks didn't use anything. No,
we've got probably going to have a Shatter v Shatter coming up in this next fight. We're having to walk out of that. Ooh, we see them going around the right side, actually. I really like this from Mavs. They're not going to put themselves in this ugly position behind the bin there. They are going to put themselves between HEIST and their win condition.
Yeah, not coming out through the choke point. Sound Barrier from Flora is the Mavs that want to take the fight again. Aggressive. It's the way it's been so far here on Hollywood. 5 seconds left. Huge Earth Shatter again from Buzz. Forbles, though, has the Transcendence back up, and he is going to be able to heal everyone except for Oily, who does go down. 6 versus 5. Make it 5 versus 5, though, with Juboy going down. It's a big loss for HEIST because he was also about to just get the rally. Now the Graviton Surge from Nox. Winter popping the rally for the Melbourne Mavericks. Mini so close to going down. Finally will die here. Sound Barrier from Jungle Jazz, as well as the overtime bar is up and for showing. Both Bust and Mini going down for the Reinhardt's. Locust with the Graviton Surge. It's a do-or-die fight here for HEIST. They need to get some kills from this Graviton Surge. Fluoro goes down for the Melbourne Mavericks, but it's just too slow for HEIST. Now they lose Locust as well, thanks to Forbles. Oily's max going to be popped back and forth, Genome.
Yeah, the double support ultimates coming out from HEIST there just make up from the lack of numbers they had from those early picks. Still with the Transcendence coming out from Forbles. Now the grab used as well. It looks like Mavs are finally going to get the best of this. What a long fight there. Bus just doesn't make it back in time with that shatter because they didn't know he was there. That was going to be huge.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that fight at the end probably went for as long as the Control Point series, Genome. That was a pretty long fight. It
was quite a long fight there right at the end. Yeah, almost as long as the entire first map, much to the Mavs' chagrin. But they do equal it up. It's now 1-1, and I feel like this is going to be an excellent series.
I think that for HEIST, though, they've got some work to do here. Obviously, they completely dominated on Control. There's no, way else to explain that. It was quite evident, 100% 0, 100% 0. But here on Hollywood, even though they were able to get the first checkpoint, it never looked as if they had any sort of semblance of control. They were always playing from behind the Melbourne Mavericks.
So obviously they're more comfortable on the Winston compositions here, the Winston version of GOATs, but it really wasn't working out for them. On Control Center, I guess the difference was you can really be a lot more aggressive. You have to choose when to take your fights a lot more carefully when you're coming onto a hybrid or an escort map. And rather than just like running at the enemy, which they turns out they're pretty good at, on Hollywood you saw that they really couldn't do that quite as well. And when they did finally make the switch to Reinhardt, it helped them a little bit, but even then, if you're only on even footing and you've given yourself a 3-minute handicap by waiting to switch there at the start, you're not going to make it to the end.
It's fair to say that for HEIST, they did perform better with Buster than Reinhardt. They try to persist too much with the Winston in the end. I understand the advantages of the Winston fully, especially on attack, more so probably the defense, but they definitely were performing better with Buster than Reinhardt.
Yeah, I think that's honestly just a hero advantage there. I don't think it's necessarily because Bus he's been a Winston player for a very long time. Like a lot of players, there was just a huge window where you learnt Winston, everyone played dive, that was just the done thing. Maybe you'd flex onto it on Control Center or something like that. And some of these players have been a little bit slower to pick up the other main tanks. That said, I mean, I remember watching the World Cup trials where Bus had an early run, and he impressed me with his Reinhardt there. So it's obviously come a long way. But in this meta, if the Reinhardt is your better main tank, I think you're probably better off overall.
Well, Bus has always been a bit of a Reinhardt player anyway. Regardless, we are going to go to halftime. It's just heating up between HEIST and the Melbourne Mavericks. It's 1-1. Stay tuned. On the other side of the break, we've got the next two maps.